Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about one of the things that I've noticed. It's just, a little bit of a social commentary on diets and popular diets. And, I find this one rather interesting because I have used keto diets in the past to lose weight. I generally find that they are unusable at a certain level of training, at least any sort of traditional ketogenic diet. And the people I know who run keto type businesses, because I'm friends with a couple, they all promote higher protein, right? For people who want to lose weight, they're promoting really high protein, more moderate fat and low carb, and then they still do weekly or every other weekly carb ups, So it's just kind of funny. They're not really doing true keto, but they'll argue that they are. It's just weight loss keto, not medical keto. But what's fascinating to me is that we are seeing this trend now to where not only some of the very prominent voices in the non-lifting keto world. I don't mean the trendy or fit pros who are promoting keto who have a million followers who are in good shape. I'm talking about just the general keto world. For a decade or more, have oftentimes featured people who are legitimately obese, right? They're legitimately obese. They're fat people selling a diet that clearly doesn't work for them, right? It clearly isn't working for them. And I'm someone who has lost 50 pounds before doing those sort of diets, getting back into shape after being quite sick and things and gaining a bunch of weight. So to me, I've always found that part interesting. Um, and then it's resulted in keto products and recipes and things that actually destroy the reason the diet works, because it's not a lifestyle. This is not a type of diet that I would say, hey, this is something you need to be on for life, where people want to treat it like a lifestyle. No, it's a temporary weight loss phase, and then you go into a better, more balanced diet if you choose to go that route at all. I don't believe it's something anyone should be doing long term outside of the care of a medical professional for something like epilepsy. Okay, that's probably the only time it should be done for years on end. So, that aside, we always see these individuals, but now I'm noticing now that it's become really, really trendy. And again, for example, I shop at Costco regularly. May not be by the time this is coming out, but they have so much keto stuff on the shelf, and I see a lot of people who both people who are at healthy body weights and people who are not, loading their basket up with carts that are clearly keto diet, clearly what they're doing. When I see a bunch of steak, eggs, cheese, and no carbohydrates, that tells me more or less what they're doing, even if they don't put the trendy products in. But the trendy products actually make the diet less workable. Those are the people who are like, oh, I'm trying to make keto muffins. I made these keto cheesecakes. Those are the people who stay obese, by the way, because they're not using one of the most important rules. The most important rule is that we eat less calories when we have less diet variety. Also, when we avoid hyperpalatable foods. Well, if you're eating muffins that are just as high in calorie but low carbohydrate, but they're high in fat, well, guess what? You can get fat doing that. You're going to get fat. Because insulin really has nothing to do with fat storage or fat loss the way that people think it does. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter for the reasons people think it does. Meaning, just because you are eating lower insulinogenic foods is in no way going to reflect what happens with your body composition. It's that people who have a lower insulin response due to their insulin sensitivity, athleticism, activity level. Okay, so it's correlation, not causation. And someone who's in really, really good shape, for example, and has a lot of muscle and is relatively lean, is going to have lower circulating insulin if they eat white rice every day than an obese person who's on keto. They just are. And that's the reality of it. That's how biology works. But that aside, I'm seeing all these obese people being advertised, like, oh, this is what I look like after 6 months of eating nothing but whatever keto brand product is like what they're living on. They're not even eating groceries, I guess. Right? And they're still fat. They've got a really fat face. They'll have a big belly. And it's just being marketed. And that'll be their success stories. So why are they doing that? Well, because this has become a diet that it's trendy, it's popular. It's a way for people to say, you know what, I'm going to eat a diet that's really high in saturated fat all day long, but then I can pretend that I'm doing something healthy, right? It's just a way for them to display the products and just to claim they're on a diet. And then they can tell friends, family, coworkers, and everything, look, I'm doing something really healthy, while they just stay fat. Right, and they stay with really elevated LDL and A1C and other inflammatory health markers, because their diet really isn't with what they're doing. Okay, because they're living on a diet that's 70% or 80% fat, way beyond the healthy levels for saturated fat, and they're not athletes. It's not like they're out training for hours every day. Okay, they're regular people. So they're not going to see the blood work we see even in, like Dr. Jeff Volek's blood work, to where a lot of these athletes have low inflammatory markers who are still eating huge amounts of saturated fat, but it's because they have a low body fat and an ultra high activity level. And they burn through it just fine when they're fat adapted, but that's not the rest of these people. So it's now become a way for people to just do something trendy and popular and still maintain a very unhealthy lifestyle and a very unhealthy diet in this case. Because, if you're sitting around eating nothing but these keto products all day and you're living on bacon and eggs all day and cheese, you're going to stay fat. You're going to have bad blood work. You're not living a healthy lifestyle. But they can claim it. Look, I'm doing a diet. I'm doing a really popular, trendy diet. And everyone knows someone who lost 50 pounds or 100 pounds doing a keto type diet. Everyone does. And they used to just call it Atkins when I was younger. Oh, yeah, Gary lost, 50 pounds already doing Atkins. Well, of course he did, because he was really fat and, followed some sort of structure in a diet. But I remember that, and, family friend Gary was still obese. He wasn't lean. He wasn't at a healthy body fat. He was still chunky. And that's kind of the norm. That's what you see. I mean, when you go to any of the keto groups, forums, the websites, the vast majority of the people who've been on this type of diet long term aren't lean. They're not at really healthy body fats, but they've usually lost some weight. And now that their weight has stabilized, what happens? Well, they're eating a diet excessive in saturated fat. They're now isocaloric or hypercaloric. Now their blood work looks terrible. Might not be as bad as before they lost the first 30 or 40 pounds, but it's still going to be bad. Right? Because they're no longer in a deficit. It's the deficit that created that benefit. So it's just something trendy. It's just become a way to be trendy and to still just stay unhealthy and to never actually be healthy. It's marketing, brilliant marketing. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.